What is going on, everyone? John Pascavage, and today I'm going to discuss something that's, you're really going to see more people paying attention to here in the next few weeks. And it's something that I've really been working on that's helped me immensely both on and off the water here, and that is health, fitness, and nutrition. Right now it is the holidays. Christmas was actually just a few days ago, and New Year's is coming up in just a couple of days. So we got the New Year's resolutions are going to be rolling in here soon. And, obviously last New Year's, if you would have told me that someone halfway around the world doing something with a bat at a wet market was going to turn life as we know it upside down as it did, I would have told you were crazy. But here we are. Anyway, what is the biggest New Year's resolution? I'll give you one guess. It's losing weight, or at least some shade of something with fitness or nutrition, okay? And as I was saying, it's something that I've been working on the last few years. I've managed to lose a lot of weight, and I'm really going to go through and tell you some of what I do and some tips you can use to get started and really get you in the right direction so you can set your own program up quite efficiently and quite easily. Now, a little bit of the backstory on this real quick. As the title of the video says, I used to be a college athlete. I was a shot put and hammer and weight thrower on my Division II college track team. And, all throughout my youth, I was involved in sports. I probably played everything organized. I played baseball for 10 years, track and field, played football in high school, wrestling, swimming, tennis, you name it, I probably did it. And, I actually started lifting weights a lot in high school to really, build up and get stronger and faster and improve my conditioning for football. But despite all that, I never had quite the take my shirt off at the beach and turn heads look I was getting. So, and then obviously once I got out of college and I got out into the world, obviously my degree is in accounting and finance. A lot of the jobs in that field are pretty sedentary. And, I didn't change my eating habits. That was the big thing. And plus, it didn't exactly help that, I was, at the time, my first real job, it was more money than I'd ever seen. It wasn't a whole lot, but, for a college graduate, I was like, holy crap. And, I was going out to fast food for lunch every day, going out to get takeout multiple times a week, going out to dinner, blowing a lot of my money on food, and it just wasn't a good thing. And sure enough, I ballooned up to 270 pounds and a 42-inch waist. And I'll never forget that, at one point, someone commented in one of my Erie steelhead fishing videos like, hey, nice fish, but why are you breathing so heavy? And that kind of stuck with me. But what really got me into it and really got me motivated was a bad breakup a few years ago, okay? And I just, it kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder, and I realized, hey, I can either let this be a weight and drag me down, be a sad sack, or I can let it be a wing. I can learn from it, get better, and use it as motivation to improve myself, okay? So obviously I took the latter, and I went from that 270-pound fellow down to, I'm in the two teens right now with around a 35.5 to 36-inch waist, and I'm still not quite at my goal. But I'm a lot better off than I was. You'll be wondering, well, what the heck does this have to do with fishing? I mean, this is a fishing channel, right? Well, yes, it is. And, well, all it is, as anglers, no matter what your preferred method or your target species is, or whether you're competitive or not, no matter what your skill level is, all we're trying to do is put the odds in our favor, okay? I mean, take bass angling, for instance. Take some of the touring pros in the world. I mean, have you ever heard, say, Kevin Van Dam, Mike Iaconelli, Jordan Lee, Ott Defoe, any of those guys ever show up to a tournament and say, I guarantee I'm going to win today, or I guarantee I'm going to place in the money, or I guarantee I'm not going to goose egg, I'm not going to zero? No, you never hear them say that. They might say that they might talk about, oh, I found a technique or a pattern or a location where I caught these fish, and I'm pretty confident. But you never hear them guarantee any of that other stuff, right? That's because as anglers, all we can do is put the odds in our favor, right? On and off the water. And I feel like this is just another way where, you can increase your odds and do better on the water by what you do off of it. Okay. I mean, I know that, well, first of all, for fly fishing and ice fishing, it helps that, I'm not getting winded and when I hike a long distance to get to some water or I drag my sled out. And honestly, the other thing is bass fishing during the tournaments, when I'm in tournaments and the money's on the line, I just, I used to kind of get into a slump. I'd fall half asleep if I didn't get any bites for a while. I call it the Senko slump. Like I'd be sitting there, I'd be half asleep, and I'd miss bites. And more often than not, that cost me a check. Whereas now, my mental clarity, my concentration are much better. I'm much more in tune with what my bait's doing and how I'm working it and the technique I'm using. And I'm always kind of anticipating a bite. I'm always expecting to get a bite, even if I don't. So it's definitely something to help you out. Tip number 1, and probably the most important, I get asked what my secrets are all the time. If I had to choose one, this would be it, is to choose a diet and an exercise program that works for you, that you enjoy, that you can stick to, and that fits around your life, okay? You should always fit your diet and your exercise around your life, not your life around your diet and your exercise, okay? That's key because, we have, like, as I said earlier, we have the New Year's resolutions coming up soon. And, I can guarantee you what's going to happen is, I hate to say this, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but, 90% of those people are going to fail. Okay. What they're going to do is they're going to go out, they're going to buy gym clothes, they're going to buy gym memberships, they're going to go into the gym guns blazing, they're going to be on the treadmill, they're going to be, doing aggressive fat loss, aggressive cardio, and, they're going to be carrying around their Tupperware containers full of 6 small meals with chicken, broccoli, rice, salads, health foods, and, it's all going to go well for the first week or two, and they're going to make some progress, but I guarantee you, you're not going to see them in the gym by February, and they're going to be right back to where they started, if not worse off, okay? Sorry, I hate to be negative, but that's kind of reality, and I know why the failure happens. Because what they kind of chose a cookie cutter approach. They didn't choose something that, works. They didn't choose something that works in their life. They doesn't choose something that, fits their life individually. Because, here's the thing. So many times people will go, they'll go into magazines, they'll go online or whatever, and they'll see so-and-so celebrities workout, so-and-so athlete, so-and-so model, so-and-so whatever's workout and diet. And it's so ultra restrictive and intense that, they follow it for a few weeks, make good progress, and then boom, they fall off of it. And why is that? Well, there's only 2 ways you're going to succeed at this. And number one is, the thing is, those celebrities and those athletes, they all have the best trainers, the best chefs, the best dietitians, the best coaches, the best motivators. They have people who they can hire to, at least watch them to make sure they're not going down and binging at midnight. And if you can hire somebody to do that for you or to coach you, all the power to you. And maybe you can do one of those programs that's a little more restrictive. But most of us don't have that kind of money, or we don't want to use it on that. So what we need to do is, it's true that motivation and willpower are important, but what we need to do is choose something that we can stick to, we enjoy, that fits around our life and works for us. See, everyone has different life situations. People have different jobs, people have different amounts of free time on their hands, different incomes, different demographics, different, religions, all kinds of different things, different living situations. So what you need to do is you need to find something that works for your situation. Okay? And that's what kind of these tips are geared towards. With regard to exercise, the key is I recommend you choose something that you can do that gets your heart rate up for at least 30 minutes every day. Some form of cardiovascular exercise to start out with. And choose something you enjoy. It can be walking, it can be hiking, it can be running, you can do interval training, you can do swimming, biking, yoga, anything like that. Okay, and just do it for at least half an hour a day. Get your heart rate up and get away from it all. What's been the cornerstone of what I've done has been step counting and walking. Okay, I've every single day this year, I've gotten in 10,000 steps. And, you can buy a wearable fitness tracker. You can buy there's all kinds that count steps. There's Apple Watches. There's all kinds of things. There's things that pair with your phone. But what I do is, this is my Apple iPhone 8 Plus, okay? And I think the iPhone 8 and up has the Apple Health app, which is which is indicated by this heart icon here. And what it is it counts steps. See? I mean, I have 13,000 today, and I just keep it in my pocket. It's pretty accurate, right? It's pretty accurate. And I shoot for at least 10,000 steps a day. I mean, I've gotten, my personal best is 38,000, but I usually get somewhere between 10 and 20,000 steps every day, which, it's about 2,000 steps for a mile, so that's roughly 5 miles walked. Okay? And, it's just it's so simple and convenient for me because it's easy to track. I know how much activity I've done. It has a very low form of dropout. I know that I could get up and do this every single day the rest of my life. And, it's a very low injury rate too. Very low dropout rate. So that's why I do this. And, I know probably people are thinking, oh, well, this is all good and well, but where's the weight training? Where's the resistance training? And I do recommend that you do some form of resistance training once you get into a little better shape and, you kind of move on, change your program a bit. In fact, what I do is, I do a push day, a pull day, and a leg day where I'm mostly going for 8 to 15 reps on my sets to really just fry the muscle, okay? But notice how I said resistance training and not weight training. Weights are just one form of resistance. I mean, you can use, you can use free weights, you can use machines, you can use bands, you can use body weight, dumbbells. I recommend what I do is I use adjustable dumbbells, okay, for all my exercises. And it's, very ergonomical, it's very cheap, it's very budget friendly, and I'm not paying so much money for a gym membership, which I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the gym if you like that, okay? What I'm saying is, well, one of the issues with that is so many people, they go to the gym, they check it off like it's a chore, okay? Or they think that, oh, I was at the gym for an hour, so that offsets me being sedentary for the other 23 hours of the day. Or, even yet, they go to the gym, they jump on, the cardio machine, or they jump on, a bike or whatever, and they see the little thing that says, you've burned 300 calories. So they go and they say, whoopee, I'm going to go have pizza and beer. Well, first of all, those things aren't entirely accurate because, they're based on calculation and an average burn, okay? And, second of all, if you go and you eat those calories away, you've just blown all the work you did. For nutrition, in terms of weight loss, calories in versus calories out, okay? And like this, it's definitely for the first few weeks, it's definitely key to get a food scale, measure everything, and track everything. Now, don't worry, you don't have to do this forever, but it's key for the first 90 days. See, the thing is, well, first of all, people try to argue around, calories in, calories out, and you'll hear about, hormones, you'll hear about insulin, ghrelin, leptin, cortisol, all of them. And, it's true that they make a difference. It's true that you should get your blood work done. And as I said, you should consult your doctor to make sure that, you're medically sound and everything's good there. And, part of it is genetics. Okay, I'll be honest. But, those don't change the calories in, calories out equation. Okay? They just don't. I mean, the key is, they're just variables in that equation, right? So that's basically, that's the key you're going to be looking at. Furthermore, I recommend that you track and weigh everything as much as you can, at least. And I actually don't do this anymore, okay? I generally just weigh the calorically dense ingredients I might use, like the sauces, the sour creams, the butters, that kind of thing, the salad dressings, right? That's mostly what I do. but you get to a point where, you start to recognize what does, hey, that's about 200 calories of chicken. That's about 400 calories of steak. That's about, that's about 500 calories worth of ground beef, whatever the case may be. And you figure that out, okay? Now, the other interesting thing is that basically, you look and there was a recent study I read about that states that it takes a minimum of 21 days for new habits to stick. And that's the bare minimum of the study. The median, or the 50th percentile, is around 66 days. So, I think that you could based on that, you could say it generally takes someone a good 2 to 3 months of doing new habits to be able to stick to them indefinitely. Now, how many calories should you eat? Well, there's a few different ways you can track this. Unfortunately, it's just not an exact science, okay? You can use a calculator on the internet. There's a lot of them. Or you can use your body weight as a guide. What I recommend you do is maybe you start with, 12 times your body weight. Obviously just say, if you're someone who's, sedentary or a little exercise, maybe do your body weight times 12 and eat there. So, or maybe, if you're someone who's, by the way, when I talk about activity, I'm not talking about just going to the gym. I'm talking about overall all day, your occupation, your job, what you do on a daily basis. If you're someone who's kind of moderately active, maybe you work in retail, maybe you're on your feet a lot, you work, maybe you're cleaning, or we work in a restaurant waiting tables or cooking or bussing, something like that. Maybe take your body weight and multiply it by 13. And if you're someone who's very active in your day-to-day life, maybe you work in a trade, maybe you're, in construction, heavy labor, something like that, then multiply it by 14. And the key is to stay at that caloric level for a few weeks and watch what happens, especially after the first week. The first week you might lose a bit of weight and weigh in. And by the way, that's another thing. You want to weigh in the same day each week. Okay, I recommend on Fridays, but Friday mornings. But basically, you want to weigh in, and if you're losing 1 pound a week after the first week, you're about good. Okay, if you're losing much more than a pound, then you probably want to up the calories a bit. And if you're losing less than a pound or gaining, you might want to down them a bit. And it's pretty simple. It's just trial and error, and it's not an exact science, unfortunately. You just got to kind of experiment and figure out what works for you, right? But I feel like this is some decent advice to give you a good starting point. Now, next tip would be don't drink your calories and drink more water, okay? Basically, it's real simple because, not drinking your calories, including or at least limiting your fruit juices, regular sodas, coffee with all the sugar and cream and syrups, the coffee milkshakes, alcohol especially, sweet teas, or at least, limiting it, okay? Because it's just empty sugar that really doesn't provide, empty sugar and empty calories, it just doesn't provide any food value to you, right? So that's one of the easiest things you could do to start losing weight and improving your health, right? I'll keep it in perspective. Suppose you drink 2 beers every day that add up to 350 calories, right? If you're eating at maintenance, not losing and not gaining weight, including those beers, well, all you gotta do is if you stop drinking those beers, that's 350 calories, and there's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So in theory, you stop drinking those 2 beers, you lose a pound in 10 days just making that little change, right? It's pretty common sense and pretty simple, actually, So, and then another thing is, there's obviously, it's real easy, and just all you gotta do is, you stick to mostly water, black coffee, and sugar-free or diet drinks, which, obviously, I know some people are going to say, oh, aspartame, oh, artificial sweeteners, oh, cancer, all that stuff, which, I personally, my take on that is, well, I've heard some studies about that. We've all heard the studies about aspartame and how evil it is, but for every study there is, there's one that says this is inconclusive, or, oh, they did it on mice. They did those studies on mice. There's no evidence that, the same thing would apply to humans based on body weight, right? So my take on it is, anything in excess is going to cause side effects, okay? I mean, too much oxygen causes side effects, too much water, too much protein, too much sunlight, too much pretty much anything is going to cause side effects. Too much of a good thing can be bad, obviously. So, what does that mean? Well, I think, a Diet Coke a week or two, or a Diet Coke or two per week isn't, it's not really going to kill you, right? I think everything in moderation is going to be fine for you. Now, on the flip side of that, now let's talk about water, okay? As I said, the key is drinking more, obviously drink more water. There are several reasons for that. Anybody who's taken a health or a fitness class, or, health and phys ed, we all probably did that back in high school. You learn that water is the most important nutrient, okay? And that's just, 60-some% of your body weight is water, and it's responsible for so many bodily functions, transporting between cells, lubricating your muscles and your joints. It's your body's internal thermostat. And additionally, it also has appetite suppressing effects, okay? It's essentially, I think of it as like nature's appetite suppressant, because you might have heard that a lot of times when you think you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. I mean, if you go down, you're reaching for some chips or cookies in the pantry, a few glasses of water will often fill you right up, and a few glasses of water right before a meal can help you eat less, okay? And another thing, when I first started out, I would weigh myself on Monday mornings. I don't recommend doing that, and here's why. Well, and this is also something interesting I found. Well, I would notice that I was up 2, 3, 4 pounds on Monday morning. I'd be like, well, I know I wasn't perfect, but, I know I didn't eat that many more calories, right? I mean, I admittedly did and still do kind of, I don't go crazy on the weekends, but I give myself some leeway because, I'm going to go out to dinner. I might hang out with my buddies, have a few beers, whatever the case might be. And that's basically going to be, I'm loosening the restrictions. Okay? So what's interesting there was, as I was saying, I would weigh myself and I'd be up these few pounds. Well, at one point, I decided to weigh myself later in the day on Monday. And I would find that, not only, and this was after I'd had a few meals and I'd been up and about, and, one would think that you'd be at your lightest first thing in the morning, which, it does hold true most of the time. But what was interesting was I would be down those extra pounds, and I would also be down my, weight the week before a little bit. What was happening was I had extra water weight from the salt and extra carbs from what I was eating on the weekends, right? So, as the interesting thing is when you get that bloat, drinking or if you have a binge day, one of the best things you can do is first drink a lot of water, to help flush some of that salt water and that extra bloat out, and to really help you to remove some of those extra pounds. Because in the end, the key is, I don't really go for a quantity of water. Rather, I go by, well, it sounds strange, but when you pee, it should be, kind of clear to light yellow or straw colored. I mean, that's really the best gauge of it, I think. The next tip is to eat more protein, okay? And there's obviously several reasons for this. The most obvious being muscle maintenance and muscle gain, especially if you're doing resistance training, okay? Now, there's the RDA, recommended daily allowance, which is 65 grams. And then there's also, the old bodybuilder mantra of 1 to 2 grams per pound body weight. Okay, I mean, it was once thought that, if you don't get that 1 to 2 grams, your muscles are going to fall off and you're going to reduce to nothing, which that's obviously not the case. But, the RDA, I think there's many reasons why one could benefit from that increased protein intake. So exactly how much should you eat? Well, some recent studies I read were stating that they found that as low as half a gram per pound body weight was actually good for maintenance and gaining a bit, whereas actually as you got to about 0.8 grams per pound body weight each day, that's actually, that was kind of where they were starting to hit the ceiling in terms of gains and maintenance, okay? That's kind of where the diminishing returns start to happen. And obviously, if you go over that and go up to, a gram per pound body weight per day, it's not going to really be harmful. At least I don't think so. But, it's not the end of the world if you don't reach that. So I think what I've been doing, what I think is pretty reasonable for most people, is that 0.5 to 0.8 grams per pound body weight. So, simply put, if you're 200 pounds, anywhere between 100 grams and 160 grams per day is good to shoot for, right? So why the increased intake? Well, as I said, it's basically increase your muscle mass and increase your gains, as the kids say. And then also, protein is the most satiating of all the macronutrients. Between protein, carbs, and fats, protein is the most satiating in terms of filling you up, okay? And then the next thing is that it's also the most metabolically expensive to digest, and it takes the most calories to digest, because basically, here's the thing. Obviously, protein is 4 calories per gram, carbs are 4 calories per gram, and fats are 9 calories per gram. So that's obviously, eating fat doesn't make you fat, but the problem is it's the most calorically dense of all the macronutrients. And on the flip side of that, protein takes approximately 20 to 30% of its caloric value to digest, okay? Whereas carbs take 10 to 15%, and fats take 2 to 3%. That just, that makes more sense because, it's obviously to store fat as fat, it doesn't take nearly as much energy to digest it. So that's definitely key as well. And it's not obviously if you increase your protein, you burn more calories, digesting it, right? So it's not a lot, but everything adds up over time. Tip number 4, eat more fruits and vegetables and fiber. You know how your mothers would always tell you, eat your spinach if you want to be strong, or the old Popeye cartoons where he eats the spinach and, he flexes. Yeah, just like that. It's recommended at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day to shoot for, okay? And they contain a lot of fiber, a lot of antioxidants, a lot that fights diseases and sicknesses, and a lot of your micronutrients, your vitamins and your minerals, okay? So, additionally, they serve other purposes. Number one is that I think of them as filler, right? I think of them as filler, and basically, they fill you up for not very many calories, for lower calories, okay? Whereas, obviously something more calorically dense would be, it might put you over the edge a bit. Additionally, as I said, it's key to get enough fiber in, right? I recommend I shoot for around 30 grams every day, and I try to get the majority of it from fruits and vegetables. And, obviously that just, as I said, they just add a lot of volume to your meals for very low calories. But the other thing is fiber helps fill you up. It keeps you regular. It aids in digestion. And it also is needed for fighting illnesses and fighting cancers and stopping and preventing cancers, right? So it's pretty easy to do. I know not everybody likes vegetables, but, if you just shoot for each meal a portion of protein, a portion of veggies, and, it'll add up, right? I mean, and the other thing I like to do is frozen fruits and vegetables, okay? Frozen fruits and vegetables, I love the steam and bag ones. You just stick them in the microwave. You can take them anywhere with you. You can do pretty much, they're a lot more convenient. And, there's actual studies out that state that frozen fruits and vegetables are actually just as good, and maybe perhaps even better than fresh, right? A lot of people give you grief and say, oh, you shouldn't use frozen. You're cooking all the nutrients out of it. Actually, what happens is when they're picked, they're flash frozen at their peak ripeness and their peak freshness. So they kind of seal in all those nutrients and everything. Whereas, if they're fresh, they might be sitting on the cart or the truck or sitting at the farm or on the way to your local market. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, along with just the convenience factor and how easy they are. Okay. My fifth and final tip is, you probably notice I'm in the kitchen now. That's because my fifth and final tip is to get creative in the kitchen. Okay. I mean, it's true that, the cleaner you eat, the lower calorie foods you eat, the more in terms of volume you'll be able to eat. Okay. But, at the same time, nobody wants to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice for the rest of their lives, as I said earlier. We only have one life. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want to have a flexible approach that allows us to, indulge from time to time, enjoy ourselves. And this is why, I'm so big on finding what works for you and what fits around your life. Okay? I mean, I hear about, I pretty much avoid I avoid anything that restricts you to certain food groups or keeps you from eating certain foods. Okay? Because, do you really want to be the only person going to your kid's birthday and not having a slice of cake? Do you really want to be the only person not having a piece of grandma's pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving? I didn't think so. I know I don't. I don't think anybody else wants that. Okay? So, with that said, the key is, one of the more effective things I've found to do is the foods you like. Find the foods you like, but make better choices with them. Okay? I mean, and there's many different things you can do that. Basically, I'm going to talk to you about some ways I do that. Okay, so one key is I'm big on the frozen fruits and the frozen vegetables. Not only are these convenient, but they're also great for recipes. Okay, one of my favorites actually is I'll take this and I'll mix it with Greek yogurt, which I'll get to later, along with a little bit of 0-calorie sweetener. Lots of protein. I get my fiber, my vitamins and minerals, and it's a real easy meal. Another one is these frozen mixed vegetables. There's just so many things you can do with them for low calories and low fiber. And here's an interesting one. I mean, basically, one thing I like to do is, I got the idea from Scooby Workstat, but I think I pronounced his name right. But basically, what I like to do is, I'll take these frozen mixed vegetables, throw them in a skillet with some nonstick, cook them, and then what I do is I put egg whites on them. Okay, egg whites and a little bit of lean protein, and it's just like a little frittata, right? It's like a frittata or a little omelet. Lots of protein, it's delicious, and not many calories. Okay, another one is, what I love is fat-free Greek yogurt. I love this stuff. I will mix it. I use it in place of sour cream or mayonnaise and all kinds of different sauces. It actually, believe it or not, I can make a really good Caesar-style dressing with this. Most Caesar dressings have mayonnaise and oil and all kinds of junk in them. High fat, high calories. This has protein, a lot less calories, and I mix this with some garlic, some seasonings, maybe a little bit of oil instead, and it's just as good. A lot less calories, and I can get a lot more volume out of it. Additionally, this is good for desserts. I mean, this mixed with low-fat cheesecake. Another guy I recommend is you check out is there's Remington James and Greg Doucette. They have a lot of good content, a lot of their anabolic recipes I use, which are basically they take foods you like and they make them, lower calorie, high protein, little less fat. so you can eat more of them and enjoy them still. And one thing they like to do is they mix this with low fat or fat-free cream cheese, and they will combine it with certain cereals. They'll make like a cheesecake out of it, okay? And it's absolutely delicious. Another thing you can do with it, this is good, this is good in smoothies. It's good if you mix it with other things. And yeah, I mean, it's a staple of mine. Along with along with other fat-free and low-fat dairy products, okay? Almond milk, previously mentioned low-fat or fat-free cream cheese, low-fat or fat-free cheese, because you can actually make a good pizza that has about, a small portion of the calories. You can eat the whole thing, okay? I mean, believe it or not, I'm somebody with a big appetite, and I can eat a large pizza all by myself and still be hungry. So, and obviously, those large pizzas, they can have an entire day's allotment of calories, okay? So, if you can make a better choice and still enjoy that while still, not going crazy, then that's a lot better and you'll be a lot better off. Another thing I'm big on are these, I eat a lot of whole grains and multi-grains and whole wheat. It's, as compared to its, in terms of breads, wraps, pastas, rice, there's really nothing wrong with white bread and white rice and all that, but this tends to provide more protein, more fiber for the same amount of calories, and really be a little more satiating, right? You get a little more bang for your buck. And these are good. These wraps, I use these with a lot of things, and that kind of brings me to my next one here. Pre-cooked meats, okay? Lean meats. And especially these, I like these pre-cooked ones because, they're all ready to go. I can stick them in the microwave, and I like to put this on one of those wraps. These are Purdue fajita seasoned chicken. These go good on wraps with a little bit of taco sauce, a little bit of Greek yogurt, a nice heap of lettuce and vegetables. Provides for a lot of volume, a lot of fiber, a very delicious, satisfying meal. And it's easy, it's quick to make, okay? It's quicker than going to McDonald's. It's quicker than going to a restaurant, right? So, those are some basic creative kitchen choices you can do that, are convenient, delicious, and, they eliminate a lot of the excuses and a lot of reasons that people use for, not eating healthy or not really, not eating as they should. Right? I also, when I discussed this, I also talked about getting creative with your choices, okay? I mean, you're not always going to be eating at home. What if you're what if you're going out to dinner? What if you're going out for a business meal? What if somebody's taking you out to lunch? What if you go to a party? What if you're at a potluck dinner or whatever the deal is? What if you can't measure your food? What if you're not sure? Well, obviously, what I like to do is I use the, if you're going to lunch, I recommend if you figure out where you're going, if it's a lot of chain restaurants, they now have on their website, they'll have the calories and the nutrition, okay, of their dishes. And, I mean, they're a good guide, although they can legally be 20% off. They can be within 20% of what they say, okay? And that's just obviously because, somebody might use more or less sauce when they're preparing it as opposed to what they tested, more dressing, more or less, cheese, whatever the case may be. But, the key is use those as a guide if you can. And, a lot of places have, healthier options that you can still enjoy, okay? I mean, believe it or not, a burger isn't a bad meal. A burger isn't a bad meal. It has some protein in it, you get some veggies on it, and you're good, right? What's bad about it is they often add all kinds of bacon, cheese, and ultra fatty sauces and condiments and mayonnaise and all that stuff to it, okay? What's interesting is a lot of places have salads trying to be healthy now, but, there's a lot of places where, like McDonald's, sometimes the burgers and the cheeseburgers are actually healthier than their salads. Low calories, more protein. Okay, that's not always the case, but it kind of depends on, in addition to the dish, it depends what's being put on it. So I definitely recommend looking at the calories, looking at the portion size online, really trying to get an idea. And what I like to do is I kind of have things like that I figure it out, and I have kind of go-tos at places I might go to eat. Okay, so I can still go out and enjoy myself and be social, but I'm not going crazy. I'm not going way over my calories and gaining weight, right? And the key is also, it's important to know that restaurant workers, they're there to please the customer, okay? And obviously, if you're polite to them and you ask nicely, they should have no problem with making substitutions or putting the sauce on the side or whatever the case may be. And as long as you just ask nicely, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to do that for you. What if you're at a party? What if you're at a potluck? What if you're at, a business dinner where, or a buffet style dinner where, you can't track, there's all kinds of food and you can't track your portion size? Well, here's a simple fix for that, and this is something I like to do. Take half your plate, fill it with fruits and vegetables, like I discussed. At least half your plate. Fill half the space with fruits and vegetables. I mean, fruits and vegetables, not fruits and vegetables with high-calorie sauces or syrups or anything. Take a quarter to a third of your plate, fill it with your protein source, your lean protein source, your meat, whatever it might be, and then leave the other little portion of your plate with, maybe some carbs or whatever you want, okay? I'll do that. I'll have, you can enjoy yourself. You have yourself maybe some scalloped potatoes, some French fries, some mac and cheese, some baked beans, something like that. You still get to, you don't go overboard, but you still enjoy yourself and have a little something without, and, being that you have so many fruits and vegetables on the plate and you have your protein, it's so easy to fill up in just a few plates and not have to worry about, going crazy. Now, in conclusion, I hope that, if you're looking to get into better shape during the new year here, or if you're looking to, lose some weight, get healthier, eat better, exercise, whatever the case may be, I hope this gives you some easy choices and some easy ways you can set up your own program. Obviously, as I said, the key is to make sure, have fun with it, make sure you enjoy it, okay? Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be able to stick to it as much. And I wish you luck in your quest and on your New Year's resolution. And as I said, if you have anything I missed or you disagree with me on anything or you have any other ideas, feel free to comment them down below here. And I'd like to thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you have a safe and happy and healthy holiday. And I wish you all the best in the coming year.